Hi guys, this is Hiro. How's everyone doing today? Ajabala Kemcho. Aj sab kaise ho. So today I'm discussing the topic of imbalanced spiritual energies. Okay, what do I mean by this? Okay, everything we do in this human birth is part of a spiritual experience. Okay, whether we coin it as spiritual or material. Okay, everything is part of it. Okay, if you look at like astrology, for example, there are four signs. Okay, four elements. Excuse me: fire, earth, air, and water. Okay, these kind of represent dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Okay, all of them, or in the English kind of translation of those is like duty, um, wealth, I guess you can say, desire, and detachment. So all of those are part of this human birth. And this human birth is in completeness a spiritual experience. But out of that list, only some of those things we tend to coin as spiritual, okay? But the mistake is that all of them are spiritual. It's just that depending on where you live, you might only consider some of those things as spiritual and some of those things as not. And when you form a spiritual identity, or you want to become more and more spiritual, depending on where you live and where the energies are imbalanced based off of societal spiritual conventions, you tend to lean more towards certain areas. And sometimes it might be in your karma, which you got to kind of really think deep and see for yourself. But it might be in your karma to be a little bit more geared energetically towards other things. And I will give a couple of examples right now to explain. So, classic example. In the East, we have this concept called enlightenment, okay? Also known as moksha, nirvana. There's a whole bunch of words for this one concept, okay? But it's basically the concept that, okay, once I'm detached from all of this, I'm done with the whole cycle. I'm liberated from, reincarnation, okay? Now, that's great and that's lovely. However, I'm fully aware that not everyone who wants this thing called moksha is going to get it. Okay. And I'm fully aware that moksha is mainly represented by Pisces, okay, or 12th house, detachment energies. Now, if you notice, Pisces or 12th house, it's at the end of the zodiac, okay? So what that means is that in order to get there, you have to complete all the first 11 sign or house energies properly in order to have that 12th house function, okay? Because it's like a flow, okay? So if you kind of just skip right to the end, it's not going to work out, right? It's like, let's just say you're making dinner, right? Okay. And the last thing you do is you set the table. Well, imagine if you set the table before you did anything else, before you bought the food, cooked the food, prepared the food, however, okay, it's not gonna, the dinner is just not just gonna magically appear. Same thing with the moksha. You can try to detach all you want, but and for some people it's in their charts to do this. You got to see. But I'm saying for general, and I'm definitely saying for the majority. Okay, to make no doubts about that. For the majority, you got to see, okay, where your karmas are in this life. Is it more moksha related? Is it more dharma related, duty related? Is it more artha related, wealth related? Or is it more kama related or desire related? Okay? So you can't just jump straight to where you want to jump. Okay? Now, I understand that, yeah, sure, you could, realize that, this is all an illusion and things like that. That's great. But you still didn't just come here to do that. Okay? You came here to do some other stuff. And if you didn't, you wouldn't be here. Okay, you'd already be in the wherever. But so that's just one example. Okay, you need to rebalance, realign your energies to do what your karma is and what you came here to do. Which maybe I'll make another video on that, but you should try to figure out by yourself. Okay, that was for the East. Now for the West, I noticed and they tend to lean more towards one of two things, depending on. This is just what I noticed, okay? Highly opinionated and biased, but this is my video. So they either tend to when it comes to conventional spirituality, tend to jump towards the abstract concept of intuitiveness or the abstract concept of desire fulfillment. Okay, and the one thing that falls under both of these umbrellas is relationships. Okay, so really spiritual people in the West tend to very over imbalanced on the focus on relationships, because it falls under both of these two things, which is kind of how our minds have been programmed. Oh, if you're spiritual, focus on these two things, intuitiveness and desire fulfillment. Okay, but moving forward, so intuitiveness, this kind of stuff, anything that helps you become more intuitive. So relationships could help you become more intuitive. Spiritual tools like gemstones and like these like sprays, all kinds of these tools, all kinds of like rituals, that kind of thing falls under intuitiveness. And desire fulfillment is like that. Anything you really just, I guess you can say, you feel like doing falls under desire fulfillment. But I noticed in the West, and I'm speaking hugely in general pattern in relation to in the East. I'm not saying everybody's like this and all this kind of stuff. Okay, but I'm just giving you an example. So if you are imbalanced, which most spiritual people are in the West, and the reason why I quoted spiritual is because I'm not saying that they aren't spiritual. I'm saying that they're trying to be like overly spiritual, overly conventionally spiritual is what my point is. So that's kind of the point of this video. Don't try to be like overly conventional spiritual. So see kind of what the conventional spirituality is in your area. Okay, so like I live in the United States, right? So it's like desire fulfillment, kind of just, yeah, you know, be you, do what you want, all this kind of Rahu thing. And also kind of intuitive, be intuitive and all this kind of stuff, which kind of goes in hand with just be intuitive about what desires you want to fulfill. But anyways, yeah, just see what's in your area, what's popping in your area as far as spiritual conventionalness, and try to really monitor your attachment towards that area mentally. Okay, same thing with, see, my family's from India and I'm living here, so I have to monitor both things. I got to monitor this Western conventional spiritual, you know, image, and then I got to monitor this Eastern image of just, you know, detachment and, you know, not caring about anything and stuff like that. I know there's other things that fall under the umbrella of spirituality besides these things. Okay, I don't know how much you guys value religion, especially those of you in the West, but you can look, all the gods, they weren't just doing this, right? Like Krishna and Ram, all these people, they didn't just come here and meditate, right? They got married, they you know, they did work, they helped out their families. There's all this kind of stuff that they did, which I try to incorporate in my life. I try to help my younger siblings. I try to do this. I try to do that. Whatever. I try to help my grandparents as much as possible. It's not just like, oh, I'm just sitting and meditating and all this kind of stuff. They all probably, like, I'm not saying anybody specifically, but there's gods that, you know, they just did like what we consider, what most the typical spiritual image people would consider normal people things. You know, they worked hard, you know, doing labor jobs or stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing unspiritual about that. And that might be in your karma. Okay. Don't try to like, you know, like do something overly spiritual. Like, there's a huge trend here. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do this. Okay. I'm just saying don't get too overly attached to doing this if this is not your karma. But there's a huge trend here of like, you know, like whatever you do for a living, make sure it's like your purpose or something like that. Okay, no, sometimes like whatever your purpose is, it doesn't have to be molded in what people would think is like a great purpose of, like, you know, saving the whole world or something like that. It could just be like what some people think what your purpose could be. What some people think is just a regular job. Okay, or I'm just giving you an example. Okay, just a purely hypothetical, abstract example. But that's the point of this video I wanted to make. Okay, just make sure you're balanced in all the energies, and don't let anybody on the internet imbalance your energies for you. And if you notice that they do, I would strongly stop watching the videos, including if it's me. Okay, a lot of the spiritual people on the internet, especially the big ones, don't trust them. Okay, I'm telling you this for your own good. Okay, so I think that's going to be the end of this video. So stay balanced in all your spiritual energies and know that all parts, okay, all parts of this whole human experience, the parts that you want to focus on, you don't want to focus on, you like, don't like, that are conventionally spiritual, that are not conventionally spiritual, are part of this spiritual human birth, whether you like it or not. Okay, and I would encourage you guys to become balanced and identify what your karmas are by using various techniques, including like meditation and astrology and things like this, to figure that out. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can let me know. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you so much for watching.